Could you please provide some recommendation and suggestion to our Italian representatives on how to bring innovation into the routine and maybe to try to disrupt the status quo?
So the evidence on how to transform actually the health workforce, how to transform health systems is getting clearer and clearer. And what we see is that political leadership is actually of utmost importance. You really need to have political leaders that are committed to the change. You need to have a vision and a clear plan. So you need to have a strategy. You need to define a strategy. And for the workforce, it's quite useful to have a workforce strategy. And if you don't have a workforce strategy, then it should be part of your health system reform plans that you include the health workforce strategy. So strategy, a vision, where to go is also super important. And never forget about this. It also needs to be resourced. You need to have some resources for the entire transformation process. So you need to support the people who are engaging in this. Then, of course, if you transform the health workforce, you change the scope of practice, you change what health workers are doing, how they interact, how they deliver, in what settings they are working. And that also has implication for the governance. You will also need to adapt the governance mechanisms you have. At the moment, we all know this is not so easy, because very often the governance mechanisms are co-owned by stakeholders, and you need to engage with them, you need to convince with them. And then one thing which is most often forgotten, unfortunately, is it's not just the top-down strategy that never works. Top-down strategies are bound to fail in most cases. You need to have at the same time a bottom-up strategy. You need to have a local level that is fully engaged, that can align and adapt to the overall objectives, that are really contributing to it. And you need to have leaders at the local level that want to contribute. And last but not least, I think what is very clear, you need stamina. It's not a one-off, it's not a quick fix. Even if you can agree on a strategy, you will run into difficulties and the nitty-gritty, the technicalities, sometimes juridical questions. It will take time and it will take a lot of energy. And it's not a one-off. You need to consider it much more as a journey, but you have a clear destination on your mind. So that's my recommendation.
We asked Anne Mahone, University of Manchester, to present a concrete example on how to use the experiential learning as a tool to stimulate and create innovation in the framework of health workforce.
So we started off with asking ourselves and each other, well, what is experiential? What is experiential learning? And some of the, I won't report back on all of the conversation, but some of the issues we raised was it focuses on both task and process. There's an element of peer learning. It can be guided by implicit or explicit models, theories, and frameworks. And it involves learning is acquired through a transformational experience that needs to be consolidated. So it's not just more of the same or deepening knowledge about something, but something shifts in the process of that experiential experience that eventually leads to, when it works best, leads to that transformation in our being. So that's how we defined it, and then that kind of sort of laid the foundations for our conversations around what are the challenges. So very briefly, and we feel on this table we've only just started the conversation. We were sort of quite rushed really. So challenges is the relevance if one's using cases or scenarios or mini case studies or whatever it is. The real challenge is how to make them relevant to the learners. So we did have quite a conversation about that and about some examples of how we do that. So we simply, sometimes simple interventions can be quite profound. So we ask the learners to bring their scenarios, the scenarios that they own. So this might be in small group work, in groups of 3, share a scenario, problem solve, share with the wider audience, or a particular approach that I think many of us might be familiar with, and certainly in the UK we use on a lot of our programmes, is action learning, where the learners bring a scenario that they own. And that's really important in adult learners, because, which is closely aligned to experiential learning, because adults learn best through doing. They learn best through addressing topics that are relevant to them, and they like to problem solve. So that was just a couple of examples. One of the other challenges we identified was, okay, you might have that transformation or the beginning of a transformational experience in a classroom or in a work scenario. It may be a very positive experience for some. It can be a period of confusion and sometimes pain, as you know, the world that I see it is changing. What's critical, a little bit like healthcare, is the aftercare. So the follow up. That can be reflection within the room and debrief, reflective diaries. It can be follow-up one-to-one calls. It can be coaching. It can be the requirement in an assessed context to demonstrate the learning of the application of your learning in practice through a written piece of work. But it's that follow-up to consolidate the learning that's really important. And the recommendations were to address the various challenges that, to address all of those questions.